Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to our home again, and welcome to our final session of the 5 senses. And today it's the sense of touch, Rex. We've already done the sense of taste, sight, smell and hearing. And it's touch today. So I suppose during this pandemic, Rex, we've not been able to hug our grandchildren for a time. We have been able to hug our kids. No. And it's not been very good. Okay, we can look at them on the screen and our friends from RK on the screen, but just that touch, that hug, it's so important.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Mark chapter 1. I'll have to read this, verse 40, very famous passage I'm sure we're all familiar with. A man with leprosy came to Jesus and he begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Filled with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately, the leprosy left him and he was cured. Now then.
I suppose he demonstrated a desire on his part, touching that leper then, to be intimately involved with his life. Yeah?
Well, yeah, it's according to the tradition at the time, he ran the risk of making himself ceremonially unclean. He was a guy that was obviously an outcast. He had a disease that was life-threatening, and of course we more or less know the rest of that story. So Jesus ran this risk, and the man with leprosy also knew the risk that Jesus would take if he touched him. So that's why I asked the question, if you are willing, you can make me clean.
Oh, right. So his touch then, what would you say his touch was? Transforming, powerful, healing?
Well, I don't think the man got healed when Jesus touched him at that point. I think he got healed when he spoke the word. If we read it, it says that he reached out his hand, he touched the leper, and then afterwards he said, "I am willing to heal you, be healed." And I think it's at that point when Jesus spoke the word that the man was healed. If you want further evidence of that, look at the numbers of times in the Bible where Jesus spoke the word, raised Lazarus from the dead, heal the sick, told someone to go and show themselves to the priest, the lepers again, there were 10 lepers in that case, and so on. At creation, God spoke the word and the universe came into existence. So the other question is then, why did he have to touch him in the first place? Now that's the one that I find fascinating. You see, this leper was an outcast. Nobody wanted him. He was dangerous. He was filthy. He probably smelt and that was it. He was rejected. He was a reject. That was it. He was rejected. As soon as Jesus made that effort, the man suddenly realised that, hey, there's someone here who accepts me for who I am, and what I've become. And this was, you could say, half the miracle. Compassion. Jesus was filled with compassion for the man. The man felt he was accepted. He'd been rescued. He'd been given a gift, not just of healing, but he'd been given the gift of something far greater. And that is, he'd been rescued. He'd been rescued by the King of Love who had compassion for him. And that, I think, is one of the main points of that little story.
I suppose you can say when Jesus touches our lives, it transforms us. It's powerful. Yeah. There's nothing that can duplicate that, is there?
No.
Because it's God himself.
It's God himself who does it. That's right. Yeah.
And I suppose there are quite a few people that are feeling lost, burdens, discouraged, and have labels put on them. And Jesus, when he touches them, the labels go.
That's right. You're accepted for who you are.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
he
right.
wants to be intimately involved with that person.
You see, I mean, this is true because there's another story, isn't there, where Jesus is in a crowd and there's a woman who actually reaches out to touch Jesus. Now, this is saying also that we can reach out to touch Jesus when we have a need.
Well, she touched his garment.
She touched his
didn't
garment.
touch his
That's
body,
right.
did she?
Yeah.
Because it was her faith,
That's it,
knowing
her
if
faith.
I only touch the hem of his garment.
I can be healed.
Yeah.
I can be healed.
Yes.
So here we are
So
again. We
it
can reach out. Yeah.
doesn't need the touch, physical touch
No,
of Jesus.
no, it doesn't. No,
No.
it doesn't.
So whether, we've got to...
We're touching lives all the time.
All the
aren't we?
time,
All the time. We're
Yeah.
touching lives.
Yeah.
All
And
the-
we're touching them for him,
Yeah.
we can either touch them for good or we could... how do you touch people's lives?
That's right. And
Acts of kindness,
it's-
compassion, but you've got to be careful because you can touch people's lives with the negative stuff,
yeah,
can't
that's
you?
true.
Yeah.
See, I suppose it goes back to the other senses that we covered, the fragrance of Jesus.
Yeah. So we've got to ask Jesus to touch our lives first,
Be filled with the Spirit.
be
That's
filled
right.
with His Holy Spirit to empower us so we can touch others. Is that what you're saying, Rex?
I think so. And that's more or less rounds off the set of 5.
Yes.
Hope it's been all right. It's not been too boring, but we've done our best and we've had a bit of a go. And we.
Yeah, it's the
we'll
first
probably
time
see
we've
you
done anything.
again
Hopefully.
sometime. Yeah.
Yes. Until
Right.
then.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.